For the third week in succession, Manly have lost a game, and for the third week in succession, Aaron Woods is nowhere to be seen in this studio on a Monday scrum, but Wade Graham's in for him because he's smiling given what happened at 4 Pines Park.
Yeah, I'm off the bench for Woodsy, but just
We've
quietly.
upgraded anyway.
That's a questionable intro to the Monday scrum. What is it? Getting our nose in there and sniffing around. Well, that's very questionable start. But hey, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Wade, different strokes for different folks, eh? Whatever makes the world spin.
How good's Wade Graham's dress sense as well, by the way?
Jimmy.
Buy around podcast.
Was that a freebie? Was that a freebie? Or?
I don't think he paid for it.
You know, I'd wear one too if you gave me a freebie.
Would you?
I'm a journalist. That's what we do. We
Mate,
take free stuff all the time.
Mate, look at the. Well, you're in a suit though.
Well, that wasn't free.
I will admit, I didn't know I was going to see you today, Jim, because I'm a late call up for Woodsy on the Saturday scrum. But when I grabbed the Monday scrum. Sorry.
Wow.
We sniff about on a Monday.
When I grabbed it out of the wardrobe, I looked at it and I was like, Charlie will love this because he runs the other show. And I was like, okay, Charlie will love this. So I'll put it on for Charlie, but just because I get you in here too, it's a 2-for-1.
Does it only come in black, can I ask?
No, black and grey, mate. Black and grey.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like the grey one.
Yeah.
That'll look good, I reckon.
You have sweat patches from running because you're late.
That's all right.
I'm glad you gave me the black one because I do get the sweat issues myself. So the black one's all right.
Hey, guys, it's official, it appears. Craig Bellamy is going around again. Anyone shocked?
No, it's been coming for a while. Look, if you'd asked me 2 months ago, I'd said he was retiring because Craig said that himself. But when the news, we sort of got the news last night, Roy and I got a bit of a heads up it was coming, and then we were just told to hold it back till 8 o'clock this morning. And when Craig rang me and told me, it was, it didn't surprise me at all. I think the indication's been going down that path for a few weeks now that Craig was going to go around again, and obviously he made it official on Sunday night.
Why was the hold up? Like when he asked you to do that, what was that about?
Oh no, he just didn't. He wanted to tell the players this morning and the staff, so he just said hold it back until the players and staff know, and then obviously we're free to go with it. But
and you as a journalist respected that way.
That's what we do, Jimmy. Okay, you got to trust us.
Oh,
you got to trust us, Jimmy. Occasionally,
just checking.
A few of us can be trusted.
Yeah. Oh no, mate. I just.
Anyway, look, I think it's a great outcome for the game. It's a great outcome for Melbourne, great outcome for the code in Melbourne because Craig's such a huge figure down there. And, he said he spoke to Cameron Munster, actually played a part in this. Cam rang him a couple of weeks ago, or talked to him a couple of weeks ago and said, you're still getting through to the group. We want you to go around again. I think that was a huge part of why he's going again.
I was just going to ask you really, what's behind this decision and what attracts him to keep going and going again? Because as an observer of the game, you see him in the coach's box and as passionate as ever.
Yeah.
And you just wonder what attracts a man to that sort of position when he's done it for so long, to keep going again and again and again, and no guarantees of success.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they've got a great roster there, but just what is it fundamentally that's attracted him to that role?
But Jimmy, I think you guys as players know it's like Wade hasn't been through it yet, but you have when you retire. And I think he spoke to a few guys who'd retired, and they'd said to him, "Look, you're a long time retired, so keep going." And you know what it's like? You lose that. He's such a competitive guy, right? He loves winning so much, and he loves helping footballers become better.
Or does he love the unknown?
Probably.
Like, does he love the thrill of putting his players out there, doing all the work, and then saying, over to you guys?
What's his cause, maybe, in life? Yeah. And if he's without that cause, you wonder what maybe he was fearful of the unknown, who, like you're pointing towards. Wade, what's your reaction to this, and what does it mean for the rest of the competition?
Purely just from my opinion, I'm so happy he stayed on and coaching again. Ever since I came in the NRL, every Melbourne Storm team I've played against ever over the years is prepared by Craig Bellamy. It's just a normal thing for me, right? And if it was to be such a change, it would be like it would be an end of an era, obviously, but it would be personally an end of everything that I've known as a first grader. And I think one of I'd say like a disappointment. I've played the game for 15, 16 years, and I haven't had much to do with Craig Bellamy.
You never had him in Origin?
No, I never had him. I
there?
missed him in Origin. I've obviously played a number of big games against teams he prepared, and we have a little crossover that way. But it's someone who, like I said, I've never personally had much to do with him, but from afar, I have so much respect for what he's been able to do with that club down there. And, when you think of the great Melbourne players, the Cameron Smiths, the Billy Slaters, the Cooper Cronks, the GIs, you think of Craig Bellamy's too, like how much influence he has down there and as figures and icons of that club. So I'm stoked he's going around again. Can't because I can't see Melbourne Storm without Craig Bellamy just looks a funny picture in my head.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? I think it's just he's part of the furniture there, and I think not forecasting too far ahead, but it's going to be strange to see them without him, and they might look completely different with those little areas, but all those little effort areas that Melbourne we all know and love. But really, what I want to know is the people we all feel sorry for is the people making the documentary.
I know.
Second time. Is that one of the? They've heard that siren go off 6 again. Bellamy goes, and you just go, oh no.
Well, I've got the inside word on this doco. I think from Craig's point of view, he wanted to do this doco to get across how he does things.
Right.
Because there might be a bit of a misconception out there that he's a blow-up merchant, or, the flow-on effect from what happened 10 years ago up here in Sydney is that not respected properly. And I think this will give the inner workings a little bit like the Wayne Bennett did with the Stan doco that came out about the Dolphins.
I think this one will be better, though, because apparently Craig's constantly mic'd up in this.
Yeah.
Constantly. He's got a mic on him constantly at training. Whenever he's around the team, he's always mic'd up. So
does he get editorial control over it?
I think he does, obviously. But
otherwise,
imagine that.
One giant swear word.
It's not the Craig Bellamy farewell doco now. It's the Craig Bellamy going around for one more year.
Yeah, going around it. The John Farnham type tour.
There's not going to be a twist in the doco. Like you're going to be like, "Wait, will he stay or will he go?" And you'll be like, "What's he going to do?" It's like, "Oh yeah, of course he stays."
This does have a flow-on effect though for what else is going on, because we're hearing about the Dragons. And my initial thought, guys, and again, it's a guy's job, a guy's livelihood. Anthony Griffin, you don't want the guy to lose his job, but full-time goes on Saturday, and you think that's the end there. What are the Dragons going to do next? But then there's Jason Riles. Is Jason Riles sticking around? Is he being tapped up for the Melbourne job eventually when Craig does go? But is Craig going to go at the end of 2024? Is he going to take the Dragons job? Is he going to be offered the Dragons job? Will the Roosters let him go? There's a lot of noise being made about Jason Riles without anything coming back from
there is himself. And from my experiences in rugby league, Jason Riles needs to go with what is certain now, because promises get broken all the time. So if he's sat there thinking or on a promise of you're going to get the Melbourne job in season 2025, he wouldn't be the first guy that's been promised something and it not be delivered, and he certainly won't be the last. So if the option is there for the Dragons and that is distracting him, I think he'd be wise to choose the Dragons rather than wait.
Roosters going to let him go, Rudy?
Well, I think they're a bit frustrated at the moment, the Roosters, with the way things are unfolding there. And I think anyone who doesn't want to be there right now, they'll let go, because they're just annoyed and frustrated at the way their season's going. I've got to say on Melbourne and Jason Riles, I spoke to Matt Tripp last night and I said to him, look, we say to Craig, okay, you can give us one more year. That's it. So we can go to Jason Riles and then go,
no more.
You can take the jobs there for you if you want the year after. And Matt Tripp said, we will not be putting any pressure on Craig. He will get the same latitude he got this year to make a decision next year about 2025. So, Jimmy, you're right. I mean, if Risey wants some certainty, then he's got to take. He'll have to take the Dragons job now.
Well, Wade, the guy you deal with on a day-to-day basis now, Fitzy, at Cronulla, he waited and waited for the right opportunity to come up. He was in no rush to leave his role under Robbo at the Roosters, was he?
No, definitely. And he finished his year off there after we signed it. But a bit of that as well was Cronulla did headhunt Fitzy. They knew he was coming available. They identified him as the coach they wanted, and they went after him pretty aggressively behind the scenes, and they landed their man in time. And I think, taking away from the whole Jason Riles situation, the Dragons need to come up with a decision with who they want, who they see taking their club forward and bring success back to that club. And they need to go after it and be clear with the playing group, be clear with the fans, and have a little bit of transparency about what the plan is. And the sooner they can make that happen, the better for all parties involved.
I wonder if they can get someone in to salvage something for this season. Like, is that doable? Is Riles, if the Roosters there, Reedy, if your information is correct, if the Roosters want rid of anybody that doesn't want to be there or has had their head turned to somewhere else, if the Dragons make the approach for Jason Riles, does he go mid-season?
Do you reckon it's in his interest to go mid-season to that? Because that club's a bit of a wreck at the moment.
I reckon you get plenty of runs on the board if you go now, because their roster on paper is not performing to where it should be. So I think you can have an instant reaction. There is the talk. There is always that, a pre-season under me and all this and all that. But I think for credibility's sake, you could get a massive uptick.
They need to make a decision on who the long-term coach is going to be, because decisions need to be made. Like, there's recruitment, retention, there's the current playing group, there's the style you want to start to implement. You need to start. The sooner you have your finger on the pulse, it can start influencing decisions or making decisions. Like, ultimately, if you're the coach, you need to know in your head, your system and what you believe will bring you success on the weekend, and then you need to start assembling the team and the roster to do that. So,
I would say, as frustrated as the Roosters are, it'd be a big decision to let Rylesy go now in the middle of your season when he's such an integral part of your coaching staff. I just think they're a bit, at the moment, things aren't going well at that footy club. They're not used to it. Adam O'Brien left them before his contract was up. Now Rylesy's looking at going before his contract is up. I just think there's a frustration there, and even it gets to that point where Rylesy accepts a job, I'd still, even though, as I said, there's an annoyance at the way things are unfolding, I'd still be surprised they let him go mid-season, because it's such a big upheaval.
Well, do you reckon then with the Dragons, are they going to hold on to Hook till the end of this season?
Well,
or are they just going to cut ties? A week ago
I'd have said they would, Jimmy, but now the sense I get is, and I think a lot of people are alluding to it, the sense is they're going to get rid of him.
Like from this week,
Tuesday, the board
and who'll take over?
Well, they've got a couple of guys. It's Ryan Carr. I think Ryan Carr's coached in England, hasn't he? At Super League level. I could be wrong there, but
Ben Wolf as well.
The other guys floating around is Des
for this season.
Could you not bring Des in for the rest of the year?
Jimmy's mate.
Would that not be feasible?
I think you definitely get a reaction.
Would be a cut price deal with Des.
Whether or not he'd take
because he and Jason are managed by the same company.
Ooh.
Same manager, George Mimas.
Maybe
who's pulling all the strings here, because George has got Ben Hornby as well.
Well, whoever they bring in, mate, has to be okay and understandable that whoever they pick for their long-term coach, whatever his systems he wants to implement the year after or whenever, they need to start, trying to get that influence in as soon as possible. You can't have, say, someone like Des who has his own way in his head, his own style of football, go in and play Des Hasler football, because Des Hasler's not going to be there long-term. You need someone who's going to be able to implement whatever long-term coach they decide on to start implementing his system and start, like I said, getting his finger on the pulse.
And what that might come down to is a financial decision. Yeah. So if you look at it, you go, well, do we go and spend, 500,000 on Des Hasler to come in to do a job when really we're no hope at making finals this year? So do we spend that money,
on
or do we keep that money with us and put it into other resources? I don't know. For me, that would be a financial decision, and I think if you look at the Dragons, I don't think they do that. I think they just promote from within.
Say you're a senior player at the Dragons, and you get asked by the board, "What do you guys want? Do you want?" Not that this will happen, but what would the playing group? What's the primary focus for the playing group? Get someone in who is going to be here for the next 3 years, or just go, you know what, let's just get through what we can here as we can and start afresh in the off-season?
Well, for starters, I think that's an unfair question to put on any player. Like, it's up to the club to make the decision who's going to coach, and for the players to...
But what would the players prefer?
If I was there, I'd be going in and saying, mate, we need transparency. We need some clarity about what the plan is. Like, just tell us the plan, and just give us an understanding of the plan, so we can at least be focused on our role, knowing that what's ever happening in the background is happening in the background. But you can't be kept in the dark, because then there's questions are raised. You get asked a question by the media, and if you're in the dark, all you're doing is guessing, right? And speaking about unknown. So, they should be there should be some conversation. This is the decision they're going to make. They need to, bring in their senior players, at least be a little bit be transparent with them and say, this is why we made the decision. This is what our plan is. Yeah. Hopefully they have a plan in place.
Also, one of those players that Wado is referring to is Ben Hunt, who is their captain, their highest paid player, and has publicly said he doesn't want to play dummy half.
And he's tight with Anthony Griffin as well.
Yeah. So you've got that to deal with. Because is he looking over his shoulder and going, hang on, what's the plan? Who are you bringing in and where's he going to play me?
Yeah.
Because I think most people in the world of NRL, you've got that fine balance between do we want to keep our main star happy and play him at 7 versus what's best for the team, which I personally believe is Ben Hunt playing in the dummy half role and Jaden Sullivan at 7.
Even the fact that we're going to wait until Tuesday to find out if he's got his job or not. When you see it in football overseas, James, all the time, the manager who has lost a game is sacked in the dressing room. He's going to say,
well,
guess what?
It's the old chant, you're getting sacked in the morning.
Yeah, it doesn't even get to the morning.
Well,
Before they get on the coach.
Dragons are a unique club, though, in that obviously they've got that joint venture agreement, and to appoint a coach, it's got to be unanimous. And I checked today, and to get rid of a coach, they think it has to be unanimous as well.
That's dysfunctional.
So you need the entire board to agree on it.
There you go. There is 99.9% of the problem. You need a unanimous decision. For everything. Like, you look at decision-making processes and think about the games that are at play. Yeah. And, it's hard enough to get that, like, make a family decision where everyone's like, all happy-go-lucky. Oh, where do you want to go on holiday this year? Well, we need unanimous. Yeah. But then when you got dysfunction and people who purposely don't like each other, and when it's the old horse trading, you've done me over. Well,
we'll sack him, but we choose the coach or something.
Well, all in favour, and then there's someone just going, all opposed. Tans Molman sat at the back. Who's making that noise?
Righto, guys, let's get to our WTF segment.
Now, the WTF moment.
Wade, first time on the Monday Scrum, so you can go first. You've already alluded to, just before we came on air, what you're going to bring up here, and James Graham's head nearly exploded. Yeah. So just try and act for us, Jimmy. What you felt when you heard this.
I thought I was confused when it first happened because I have been going, my young bloke started playing footy just in the tiny skills, right? So they're very, the referees are very generous in the juniors when like they make a mistake or they don't quite understand what they're doing. The referees give them another try. Yeah. So I was confused, but it actually happened in our game on the weekend.
NRL game.
An NRL game had actually happened. So it was the last tackle. One of our players touched the ball, and the Manly player regathered the ball. So he got a 6 again.
Talakula.
But he didn't hear it. Yeah. He didn't hear it. So he threw the ball away.
Over the fence.
And instead of being a changeover, sorry, mate, unlucky, you didn't hear the call, you made a mistake, Ash Klein actually called time off. And no, he didn't hear me, and gave him another attempt. And I was like, I was actually confused. I'd never seen that ever, and I just thought I was watching my young bloke play down at Cronulla Carrying Bar.
Bizarre, isn't it?
It's so bizarre. I've never seen it. I think I called a game with you early in the year when Joey Manu did the same thing. He went to play the ball at the SFS. It was 6 again, but he didn't know. He thought it was a laugh, so he just left the ball on the ground. He got up and went to stand and mark it, and it was just, unlucky. He didn't hear the call. Like he could have had 6 again. No, Ash yesterday just whistled up and, no, have another go, mate.
Generous guy, Ash.
Look, we've had some questionable decisions over the weekend, haven't we? But one of my pet hates used to be like the referee. I don't mind the referees talking along with their players and getting in a relationship, like make sure you're on side, stay disciplined today, all that sort of stuff. But it used to frustrate the living daylights out of me when a referee would coach the other team. Like, hang on, no. Make sure you put your foot in it. Whoa. No. You watch and see if he puts his foot on the ball. And if he doesn't, penalise him.
You're not the parent.
Or if a player's offside, hey, mate, you're offside. Well, so he's going to get out of the way, but the attacking player doesn't know he's offside. He's spooked the attacking player into going somewhere else. It used to... one of my pet hates when the referees would be actively coaching the opposition. Always the opposition, never us.
So you're doubling down on that WTF moment? You got your own?
Oh, no, I've got my own.
Oh, good.
I've got my own. But that is...
it's up there.
Yeah, rugby league game. Wow. What a game. And speaking of what a game, my WTF moment is my old teammate came through with this guy at St. Helens, James Roby. Broke the club record appearances for St. Helens, 532 games for the one club.
What?
All at dummy. Well, not all at dummy half, but the predominantly at dummy half. What a player!
How many seasons is that?
His first season was 04.
Wow.
2004.
20th season.
He should have come to the NRL at some point.
Well, if he comes to the NRL, he doesn't break that record.
No, he doesn't.
And I respect him for for he had options to come here and he didn't choose them for different reasons. I respect those reasons. But if you speak to anybody that's been around the Super League, Justin Holbrook, Mick Potter, anybody that's had anything to do with the NRL, we all know, with the Super League, we all know he would have, shone out here and been one of the best dummy halves this competition has seen, but he didn't. I think he's Super League's best ever player. That's the best compliment I can pay to him. But wow, 532 for the one club, not including rep games either for England and whatnot. It's phenomenal.
Mind blowing.
My WTF moment, it dovetails into your next topic, actually. It's a perfect segue for you. I was watching the Cronulla game at the weekend, and the Sharks went wide, and this bloke blitzed Tommy Trbojevic. And I'm watching it thinking, that must have been Sione Katoa. Yeah. And they replay was Britton Nakora. He was on the wing.
Yeah. I'll defend Tommy here, right? Because it's easy to throw stones from the sideline.
I'm not throwing stones. I'm just saying I was stunned at his speed. Not bagging Tommy.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, you're not questioning his journalistic integrity.
That's unbelievable. I'm not bagging Tommy. I love Tommy.
Britton Nakora is extremely quick.
Okay.
To start with.
Yeah.
And we found Tommy out on the wing because he just had a kick chase. And made
he looked stuffed.
Yeah, he had 3 tackles from marker, so it was 3 back-to-back efforts.
So you knew that and you went at it?
We knew that, yeah. So we saw him point.
That's nasty,
We saw him point to Garrick to go to the fullback because he obviously wasn't going to have the legs to get back there because any OB, James will back me up here, any outside back doesn't realise how much effort back-to-back 3 tackles makes in a set. They're not used to it. So he went hard and he was trying to change the momentum for his team and he outlaid all his effort. But then we found him on the wing. It was actually got communicated in pretty quick.
Can I say, I wasn't looking to bag Tommy. I was talking about Britton Nakora and his speed because I actually think Tommy, because I'm going to segue this for you.
This is a Queenslander speaking, everybody.
Tommy, I'd put Tommy in the Origin team every day and twice on Sunday because good players like that, you just pick them.
Well,
and he will rise
to
the occasion.
You've got to question your motivation for saying that because you as a Queenslander want Queensland to win. So
no, I hope they don't. I've
got to question your motives.
I hope you don't pick him. Well, are you a New South Welshman? What are you?
I'm an Englishman.
I hope New South Wales don't pick him.
I would
pray New South Wales don't pick him. I would pick him. I think you've got him.
He's massively out of form.
I would still pick him.
But I would argue he's out of form compared to 2 years ago. But I don't think he's playing bad.
I want some intel here from out of it. Did you have to tackle him on a kick return yesterday, Wade?
Yeah, I tackled him a couple of times.
So what you know what trying to handle Tom Trbojevic
is like?
He's still
big and strong.
Did it feel any different trying to stop the guy yesterday?
Nah, he's always hard to tackle. He's just not on the back of as many shapes as he has been, right? Which is his fullback. When he was so dynamic, we're talking about that form 2 years ago. Like for me, Tommy is a champion player, and you can't knock a champion player. I would actually have him on the wing. I feel like he would do a great job for New South Wales on the wing in Origin, where he still gets involved, play 1, play 2. He's a big body. He's a target for us to kick at because he's so good in the air. Defensively, he's sound. He understands the game. And I think he's smart enough that he could come off that wing and inject himself in the game like we have seen in the past.
Don't mind the idea.
When the game calls for it, he could do that because he's that smart of a player. And then I have Campbell Graham inside of him he reads the game pretty well as well. I reckon they're almost interchangeable centre and wing. I'd have those two paired together.
The big difference with Tommy I've seen this year is compared to, say, 2021, is not so much the kick returns. I was interested in what he's like physically to deal with, but remember those plays where Manly get a quick play the ball 5 metres out or 10 metres out, and Tommy just pushes everyone out the way and says, give me the ball, and he turns it into under 12s, and he's the big kid on the field and just runs over about 3 of them. He doesn't seem to be injecting himself like that at the moment.
Well, it's hard, right? Because he's pretty much 90% of the video we do on Manly is on Tommy Turbo.
Oh, is it?
Like, we ID him all the time. Like that. Like, there's a reason we knew he was on the wing because we're all looking for him because he's the best player on the field. Yep. And you have those runs of form. And when you have momentum and you're in form, footy, it's easy. It's easy. You turn up and you train and you go out there on the weekend and things are happening for you because you're in form. It's like, I don't know if you play golf, but when you're swinging well, you just swing well. You don't think about it. Then when you're struggling, the thoughts start to come in and you just compound those errors. But the reason a part of the reason why he's not having that influence as much as he was in those seasons because, mate, we did 90% of our preview on Tommy Turbo. Where is he on the field? Know where he is 100% of the time and communicate that through the team. That's why.
But wait, though, in 2021, when he was having the same effect, you would have had the same game plan. It's not like he's not like sprung up, come from nowhere. you would have had that same game plan of knowing where Tommy is in 2021, but he just had the ability to surge past that.
To the point when I was just saying,
Manly were playing better.
Manly were playing better, but you know what it's like when you're in form. Things just happen for you. Like you're just going out there, and it's like the ball bounces your way when you're in a patch of form. The ball goes up, it just bounces your way. You stick one hand out, bring it in, score the try. Like, it's just easy, right? And then it's when it's not going your way, and you're in that grind, and you just got to put the work in. Like you can't knock a champion. He's a champion player. I think he'll find his best again, and I still pick him on the wing for my New South Wales team.
Freddie's going to live or die by this decision, isn't he? Like,
I reckon the 6 is a bigger
Who
one.
do you leave out there?
You reckon the 6 is the bigger one?
Say Josh comes back next week.
Well, if Josh had played this week, 80 minutes, I would have picked him for sure.
And Ty would have missed out.
And maybe it would have been a different decision. But the fact he hasn't come back, he hasn't played yet, he hasn't got for 80 minutes, even with one run under your belt, that Origin intensity.
Yeah,
it's
another level.
It's another level. Yeah, so I would go. My winger would be. I wouldn't have left Toto out. I would have left probably Tommy out in that sense. But because they were playing, so I go Campbell, Tommy, Toto, and Latrell.
The 6, I was just brought up with Jimmy as well while you were discussing that. I think that's the big call for Freddie. The 6, and obviously Wade, you're going to be completely biased and completely understand with that. So you go Nico, but. Jesus, a line ball decision, given how Jerome played against the Roosters the other night as well.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Which way?
Before Friday, I was going Hines. And then, Jerome turned that on, didn't he? And
depends what style they want to play as well, because with Yo, Cleary and Hines, you've got 3 unbelievably good ball players. I'm not saying that Jerome Luai isn't, but he's more of a runner. And he's a left-footed kicking option, which is a different kind of, like on that side of the field as well. I don't know how they make this call.
I think they need to figure out whether Nico can play 6 and complement Cleary. So I'd said this before.
This is where I have a different sort of view on it, right? Because there's no doubt Nico could play off the back of Cleary, Nathan.
Yeah,
he could play off the back of Shape. Nathan can set the shape up and play off the back of him. But that's not the moments you want him in there. You want the moments for the ability to play away from Nathan. Why is Munster so good? Munster can play off the back of Cherry Evans all the time. Cherry Evans get the team around, Munster will jump out the back. It's when Munster goes the other way, when he sees the point of difference on the other side and actually plays away from the half. That's what you need your 6 to do. You need to play away. JT never made all his breaks when he's on the back of Shape of Cronk. Is when he actually sees opportunity on the other side and he takes that on. And like Nath can't be in 2 places at once. He can't set up the shape, see all the D-line going, they've covered me, they split the numbers right on me. Quick boys go the other side. He needs the other halfback to step up.
Doesn't Yo do a lot of that as well?
Well, again, he sets up with Nath, but he's on the same side as Nath. A lot of the times, Yo's going forward and Nath's out the back of the shape. Like, he can set on one side, but and he's always going to hold the middle third. It's not the moments that you play off the back of Nath that's going to be the important ones, because he's going to set the shape up, and if the defensive line is where the ball needs to go to Nathan, it needs to go to him, he'll get the ball, because that's what he's there. That's why he's the halfback. It's the moments where we need the ball to go away from Nathan.
Yep.
That's where we need our 6 to be able to take that on. And that's what Munster does for Queensland. And that's what I think Nico can do for New South Wales.
What are you hearing at the moment, Captain Queenslander over there?
I think they're generally torn on it. I don't know which way they go. I'm just glad we got Cam Munster, because I think there's no debate over our 6.
And there was a little dude with headgear at Newcastle yesterday.
How good was he?
Who popped his head. I reckon they were surely going to pick him anyway, given what he's done in the Queensland jersey.
Yeah.
But
mind you, Reece Walsh was pretty good on
was pretty
Friday
good.
night as
good
well.
Backup.
Friday night.
But Kalen,
I think Kalen
Ponga was man of the match in Game 3 last year.
Yeah.
So
I think you go Kalen.
He just had to prove it. I think he just had to show something, Kalen. He was going to be in there, because Billy's a pretty loyal guy. They won last year, and as you said, he was man of the match. So I thought he was outstanding.
This just all adds to all the subplots and the circuits around
Origin. This is Origin,
right? And even that. So New South Wales have got 3 big decisions to make. Do Queensland have any?
No.
So
I reckon we got a couple. I reckon we got
but it's not talked about, really.
Big decisions, though?
No, not big playmaking positions. More like I think they got a lot of middles, and they got to decide what they do. Whether they pick Christian Welch and Josh Papali'i and guys like that who've been really good for a long time, or whether that sort of stuff. I don't think there's any in the key positions.
It'll get a headline or a story for a day, but it's not going to. It's not going to.
It'll be the whole camp.
It'll be
the Luai Hines thing.
And the Tommy or not,
If
and
whoever's
Appy and Cookie
there'll be
as well.
a story.
Yeah,
that'll be the
Appy and
story
Cookie,
all week.
Exactly. Where really, and also the follow-up story to the person that didn't get picked,
And if they get
that aren't in camp,
Well, I think,
and
like-
all their coaches about.
and if New South Wales lose, the story
That's a
becomes
reason.
they got it
Yeah.
wrong.
No,
they
well,
got it wrong.
I think for me, because obviously I'm a New South Wales fan, and there's a lot. It's good to have a lot of this debate about players like Lua and Nico and that. But once the team's picked, you got to get in behind them and support the decision and back it.
Wado, you know that,
That's-
but this beast called the media is
it's
not
up,
going
mate,
to
it's
let it
up,
lie,
yeah.
is it?
I think the other thing too that it's a massive thing is game one's so important for New South Wales because it's in Adelaide, but game two's at Suncorp.
Yeah.
So you need to get this game one right, and that's why. I don't know. I haven't spoken to Freddie in a while, but I feel like he might lean towards experience, and that's why the Tyson Frizzell come back into the side makes sense.
He was good too, Tyson.
It's another reason why I can see him maybe going with the combination, the Cleary-Luai combination, because they're proven and tested together, and it's a reason why I can see him going that way. So it is a big decision. Ultimately, he's the coach. He's got to pick the people that he trusts and get the job done in game one because it's massive game one for New South Wales. And as a fan, and even though I'm biased towards Nico, as soon as that team's picked, if he's not in it, we just get behind the Blues and support him to get game one done.
I just had a laugh about Queensland while you were talking there, Wade, about I just had a thought popping in about Queensland, is that they'll pick some dude on the bench and it'll barely rate a mention and it'll be a line ball call. It'll be maybe a controversial one, what you're saying about the middles and everything like that. And we'll get to full time in Adelaide and go, geez, he's an Origin player. Isn't he? How many freaking times did Queensland do that?
Someone.
Geez, he's an Origin player.
Corey Horsburgh.
Yeah. Right. Oh, did I just? Yeah, you might need to beep that one. But it happens all the time. And it's falling directly into that narrative once again. New South Wales with the glamour players, with the glamour selections, the line ball decisions. Queensland picking a couple of blokes out of the paddock that you've never seen before.
I love that narrative as a Queenslander.
Oh,
right?
I bet you do.
It's a G up.
Queensland,
seriously.
surely they're the favourites, Queensland.
They should be.
They
I wrote
should
a
be.
column
They
on them
should
on
be.
Saturday. I cannot believe Queensland are not favourites.
They should
Ridiculous.
be. Like,
They're $2.30.
Mate, back at them then.
I
Don't not
punt,
believe
gimmicks.
it. Load up.
It's crazy. The Queensland they've won the last year's series. They've got a much more stable side. Like how they're playing well. Like all their guys are playing well.
Yeah, the 1, 6, 7, 9. You just look at those four players. The spine. I don't know, Wado, if they go on about the spine as much as.
Well, even I look at their forward player like Tino. He's like got to be. I know Payne Haas deservedly gets a lot of rap, but Tino, he's under.
Garrigan's going
Paddy
pretty
Garrigan,
good.
he's underrated with what he does up there.
Felice
Fafita's
well.
back in
Oh,
form.
he's killing it.
Felice, Kurt Capewell's going to be thereabouts. He's like the ultimate either back row or utility on the bench. I think they're.
I hope they pick
Cotter.
Flegler. I like his.
Flegler's
he's
going to be
got a bit
going
of-
hard.
He's got a bit
like-
of nastiness in him.
Yeah,
too,
what
right?
about that game on the weekend?
Oh.
There's a bit of spite.
He just
there,
loves
that
it, doesn't
Melbourne, that Melbourne Broncos game.
Yeah, you're going to win by 40.
He loves
Rick.
being a bit niggly. He loves a bit of niggle in Origin.
I can see the postman.
Reedy's Mail.
It's a bit rushed today.
See,
It's
your
a bit rushed
phone,
today.
your phone
My
was going
phone's
off
been
like
going
a
off,
SP
yeah,
bookies on a Saturday
Yeah, but
afternoon
that's too
early
late
in
now
the show.
because we're recording
Well,
now.
no, you were writing
I can't
down
take
that,
the
Mark.
calls mid
Full page now.
thingamajiggy. There's a bit of team news to start with. Josh Schuster will be back this week for Manly, so that's a desperate
Good. 0-3
desperation
without him.
stakes for Manly. That he'll be back. He was very close to playing last week, and there's a chance Jakey Trbojevic may come back this week as well. Now, obviously, that's good timing for Origin. They overlooked Jakey in game one last
Origin
year,
player.
caused a bit of a stir, and he was brought back in Origin too. So, what about him, Wade? We were talking before about who were we talking about? I can't remember. Tommy, was it? I can't remember. Oh, no, Josh Adokar. You said based on one game, you'd be wary about picking him. What about Tommy? Jakey Trbojevic. Would you be, if he gets through one game, is it enough?
The calf, isn't it?
It's a calf. Less the extent, like he's a bit of a risk. You could say he's a bit of a risk, but he's in that middle rotation, so you could use him in a 10 or 15 minute spurt just to tighten up the middle. I don't know if you'd start him off a layoff, or you could pull like one game. He's going to have a decent blow in the middle. It's a bit of a different speed there in the middle. You got guys like Liam Martin, Cam Murray, who can sort of interchange between edge and middle. Like I think you could take that risk just because of how solid defensively. You know what he's gonna tighten that middle up, and we need to be tight in the middle. I'd probably pick Jakey.
Just for vibes as well. Happy
The
guy.
nicest man in
He
league.
loves it.
Happy
Jakey
guy.
boy. Listen, obviously, we were talking about Riles before and the Dragons and the Roosters.
Yeah.
They actually play this week. which is a little bit of an undercurrent to that whole
Jason Rolls Cup.
Just exactly about Jason Rolls and whether they'll come out and announce him this week. I'd be surprised if they did that, given it only just occurred to me, actually, I was looking at the draw. Given they're playing each other this week, it'd be a difficult time to come out and announce that Jason Rolls is joining the Dragons. So while they may make a decision on Anthony Griffin this week, I'd be a little surprised if they came and announced that Jason Rolls was joining them. Just given they're playing each other this week, it'd be...
Any coach fines, by the way, from the weekend? The referees' comments, particularly down in the nation's capital on Saturday evening?
I haven't heard of any.
No, I was just wondering if Brad Arthur was going to be in trouble.
That's right.
He blew his stack about the 10-3.
No, I hadn't checked that. Wish you'd told me that a half hour ago.
That's right.
And finally, look,
thought you were doing your job over there, but anyway.
South.
He's a bit frazzled. Ever since he was late, he's a bit frazzled. You can't.
A very busy day.
You can't make it up, mate. Once you're late, it sets you off inside. You just can't make it up.
South Para this week.
Yes.
Right? Big game, obviously, for Para. I mean, if they lose that one, you just about put a line through them, I reckon. But for South, it's a big game too. It's at Allianz Stadium. And they're obviously based at Accor at the moment, but they want to move back to Allianz. So I reckon this is going to be a big story during this week. South's attempts to get back to Allianz Stadium and getting under the Roosters, ruffling the Roosters' feathers a little bit about getting back there, because obviously the Roosters have got that big sign outside Allianz Stadium or on Allianz Stadium. And I think Souths want a piece of that. So I think it's actually going to be a big story this week. If they get a good crowd there as well, that'll just put more sort of wind to the sails for Souths to get back there next year. And they've been talking to government about it, and they're trying hard to move most of the games back to Allianz Stadium next year. So
they should.
Yeah.
It's not the Roosters' home ground. $900 million, and I'm pretty sure they put in a little bit, but they didn't put in a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's not there. Well, it's true. It's like Sydney FC play there as well. The Waratahs play there.
Can you imagine if South try to get a Rabbitohs insignia up in that stadium?
Nick would try and blow it off.
He'd go ape, wouldn't he? Because remember, didn't they try to cover it up when the
Sydney
FC
FC
played there?
Yeah, Nick
and
blew
Nick
his
went
stack
ballistic.
about that. Yeah.
So can you imagine they
Probably
put a
fair
big...
enough. Just got a Bunnings tarp over it. It looks so rank.
Purely just from a footy fan, you'd love to see it happen, right? Just for the rivalry, just get that even more, it's the most intense rivalry in the competition. You'd love to see just another chapter added. It's always, every year, it's just another page, another page, another page.
It's given me an idea, actually. I want to check with South whether they're going to cover the logo this week and put a South logo up. That would be a good stink.
Oh, that's back page material.
Yes,
that is.
I'm going to check that today, actually. I was just with South people before. So.
Aaron Woods, any
Aaron
mail
Woods,
on him?
Yeah.
But
Woodsy. Woodsy, I believe, is a broken hand. Wait, is that the word out of Woodsy of the weekend?
I was just speaking to him before, prepping for our own award-winning podcast that happens tomorrow. So,
what award do you win?
It's at the end of the year, mate. You just watch out.
Can I say, I thought Woodsy was outstanding on the weekend.
He was good. And he played busted most of the time. So
in commentary or on the field? Or both?
Wow. Both, Jimmy. Because he got a lot of minutes on the weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Played a long time, didn't he?
I think, but he's speaking to the surgeon this afternoon, I think, so.
Oh, man, that's rotten luck for Woodsy. Rotten luck for Manly, because...
Well, they've lost Josh Alloway with a dislocated shoulder.
That one was a bad one.
Tuolangi has got a cheekbone as well.
Yeah.
So.
With the Alloway one, you knew straight away. He went down, he sort of reached out, and then he didn't really move straight away, so it didn't look good, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, winners are Greeners, Wade. Well done on your victorious march over to the Spit
out there when
Bridge.
you were out there together?
No, it wasn't too much. It wasn't too
Did
much.
he get you in that leg lock?
No, he didn't. I was speaking to him today, and he said he's going for surgery. And I actually got a bit of a stinger and an old injury in the back of my neck. I was like, and I don't know if you know, Maroon has been, he got a shield made up for it. It's called the Wado and Woodsy Shield. So I'm glad I got the first one, because the way he's feeling and I'm feeling might be the only one left.
Is he going to present it to you, or what's going to happen?
I don't know. You know, Maroon, he's got some ideas in his head, so he might bring it into work tomorrow and
He certainly
parade it
does.
away.
Gavin, from wherever he is, will be happy with you.
Yeah.